Trigger warning: this video contains mentions of transphobia, harassment, Nazi silencing, gaslighting, profanity, adultery, and other sensitive topics. Viewer discretion is advised. Prelude: if you don't know who J.K. Rowling is, you've been living under a rock. In the 1990s, she became beloved for writing the Harry Potter franchise, but now she's hated and in some circles lionized for writing some very awful things about the trans community. Recently, around International Women's Day, she's made some very problematic tweets, having gone off a deep end. While there are a lot that can be talked about, like her showing support to Maya Forstater when her contract wasn't renewed due to abusive behavior aimed at trans women, I'm aiming for her most recent behavior in this March around International Women's Day. Part 1: Queen of a Hill. First she tweeted, "Yes, sweetheart, I'm staying right here on this hill. Defend the right of women and girls to talk about themselves, their bodies, and their lives in any way they damn please. You worry about your legacy, I'll worry about mine." Okay, if I were her, I would choose my legacy to be my crown jewel of a book franchise, not my outspoken political beliefs. Yes, even though I do care about politics, I do care about them in the sense of making a world where everyone can be happy. Choose a hill you die on wisely. Because do you want to be remembered fondly by future generations, or booed and ridiculed at every mention? Plus, there are the TERF dog whistles, while Lily Kate has a subtlety of a delusional truck screeching down the highway at anybody she even remotely suspects is trans. The only people who won't look at her declaration of war and not think she's a genocidal Nazi who should be locked away and their beliefs condemned are those who already buy into that garbage. Meanwhile, Rowling is subtle, like a viper waiting in the grass to sink its venomous fangs into its prey. What she says seems innocuous enough until you do the research. I'm a feminist, and part of being a feminist is believing that everybody deserves equal rights. However, what Rowling is hinting at is that trans women are silencing cis women, which is not true. I say that because trans women are a very marginalized community that makes up a small fraction of a population. How can they be able to successfully silence a larger, more privileged sector of a population? I know how TERFs like Rowling act. They hate having any real discourse and create echo chambers where their voices are heard and opposing voices are silenced. Instead of owning up, they prefer to accuse their critics of everything the accusers are guilty of. I've experienced said marginalization and silencing myself by TERFs, and I'm a cis man. I know what it's like to be attacked viciously, hounded, silenced, singled out, and demonized by those cowards. This makes it very clear to me, who spoke up on behalf of trans women, that TERFs act from a place of visceral hatred and the refusal to compromise. Plus, trans women are even more aware than cis women that bodily autonomy is a human right, because they are even more vulnerable to people violating that right than cis women. I'm not implying that cis women are not marginalized at all. We are still dealing with centuries worth of patriarchy. It's just that the patriarchy harms trans women in more ways than it harms cis women, and it's just unfair. Plus, we need people to speak out about their experience so others can understand it, because the most reliable narrative of a person belonging to a marginalized group story is that person themselves. TERFs want trans women to stay silent about their abuse, because if a trans woman were to tell her story about how she's been gaslit by people who refuse to understand her, ridiculed and monitored, and all those other things, then the TERFs are exposed as what they are: bullies. And trust me, TERFs are cowards. When someone is harmed and they speak out, everybody tries to muzzle them. Who tries to deny their suffering takes the side of their abuser. I do want women to speak out about their experience without those experiences being taken from them. And when I say women, I mean all women, trans women included. Part 2: Vulvamore Day. Next, there's a tweet she made on International Women's Day. Apparently, under a Labour government, today will become We Who Must Not Be Named Day. Okay, trans women are not racist cis women, not one bit. Language designed to include all genders never raises a gender, while language that deliberately excludes gender identity does. Trans-exclusive language doesn't erase cis women. Plus, there's a fact that what Rowling decides to use her platform for on Women's Day of all days of the year, but heard about women being treated as worthy of dignity and respect, instead of using her parent platform to deal with actual women's issues like men violating their bodily autonomy, the wage gap, or other real systemic issues. Rowling decides to, pardon my language, shit on her fellow women for no good reason. Instead of saying something about the strong female characters in her novels, if people are still reading those, she works to help with patriarchy divide and conquer. My disappointment is immeasurable and my childhood is ruined, and not in a good way, like hearing Mr. Krabs call you a fucking cocksucker, or Eggman piss on the moon while drunk, having been driven to alcoholism by his cheating wife, and the online harassment he suffers, like his nudes being leaked and him being chased off social media, even though he got dozens of alt accounts just in case attempts. It's going to be hard to pick up a Harry Potter book again or watch one of the films again. That magic, it's just gone. Conclusion. Okay, I'm sorry if I ruined your childhood by telling you how your favorite author feels about women's issues. However, when someone says something outrageous and ignorant like that, it's so revealing on who they are. Rowling isn't a feminist, as instead of using her time and energy to actually start genuine discourse about how society marginalizes women, she partakes in the oppression of a group of people who are less fortunate than her. She, like other TERFs, doesn't care about women's issues as much as they care about harming the trans community. Please remember to keep this comment and try to keep this comment section civilized. Feel free to disagree with me, but remember that I'm not compromised on whether or not people deserve kindness, and my answer is yes. As angry as I am at Rowling, don't go up in her face and challenge her. Everyone deserves to be treated with kindness, and as much as I feel like saying worse than what I said, I don't revel in draconian cruelty. If you are going to be malicious and vile, I'm going to have to kick you out before you defile this comment section into a cesspool of bigotry and scum. Tyson out.